Okay, folks, I've got 7:05 on my clock here, so let's get started. I'm sure some people will come in late, and that's fine. Welcome, everyone. Good turnout. Glad to see all of you. Some of you, for those of you who don't know who I am or what I'm doing here, I think there's one of you in those boats. My name is Scott Kinsella. Yeah, I'm going to go by my formal name. The rest of you know me by my nickname. That's fine. The reason I'm doing these sessions is I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and I need to get more classes in before I renew my certification. So I figured the best way to do that right now is to, hey, teach my friends. And this is really great. I'm glad to see people turn out. I'm hoping you're enjoying these. And as I mentioned a little earlier, I may continue to do this on a weekly basis for all of you. So certainly send me your topics. Let me know what you're interested in. And we'll certainly work on scheduling those and spreading the word about what I'm doing here with Microsoft Office and this free training, because God knows we love free stuff. So tonight, I am so excited about this. You guys are, I'm serious when I say, why aren't you using this product? Microsoft OneNote. Literally one of my favorite products in the Microsoft Office family. Of course, every time I mention it or bring it up to somebody, they go, "What's that?" And I get that look like a dog hearing a high pitch from somebody like, "I don't know what that software is. I've never heard of it. What does it do?" Or maybe you are a little bit familiar with it, but you're not entirely sure what it does. So, oops, let me get back over to PowerPoint here. So I'm going to do a bit of talking for a while first to kind of give you some background on what the application is, what it's capable of, and then we'll actually dive into what it can do and what it is capable of. And again, I hope to kind of, if you're not familiar with this at all, I kind of hope to blow your mind a little bit about what this application is capable of doing. So first off, what the heck is OneNote? What is this thing? Well, it is, to be blunt, it's a digital notebook. It is part of the Microsoft Office suite. It's actually one of the few products that Microsoft gives away. Even if you don't own the full Office suite, you can actually download OneNote directly from Microsoft and use it. It also comes as an app in Windows 10. It doesn't have all the full features, but this is a product that Microsoft really believes in to the point that they give it away. They also really encourage it use for students and schools and educators, and so that's another reason why they give this product away. But basically, it's a place where you can gather all of your notes and information with very powerful search capabilities, tagging capabilities, to make it really easy to find stuff. Also, by use of Microsoft's cloud storage service, OneDrive, you really can make this application do some really cool things as far as working across different platforms. And to me, that's where the true genius, the true value of this software comes from. The fact that by putting your notebooks on what's called Microsoft OneDrive, I know it's going to be a little confusing with the two one words here, but OneNote and OneDrive, we can really share and collaborate with other users by way of that, okay? And again, for those of you who aren't familiar, OneDrive is Microsoft's file storage service, just like Google Drive or Cloud Drop or Dropbox or whatever all those things are called. You can get a OneDrive account for free. I think it comes with like 5 gigabytes of storage or something along those lines. Okay, so what the heck can you store in this product? What's so cool about this? Why shouldn't I just use Microsoft Word and take notes in Word? Well, the problem with Word is that yeah, sure, I could write notes in it, but I don't have a lot of capabilities to store different types of notes and different types of media, as well as I don't really have the true tagging and search and tasking capabilities that OneNote has. And you're going to see what I'm talking about when you get it in there. And quite honestly, a Word document really wants to have structure. And in OneNote, as you're going to see, it's all about not having structure. And for some of you, that's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest. Some people, when they first start to work with this product, are really kind of uncomfortable with it because they look at it as though it's Word, as though we need pieces of paper and structure. And the reality is, this is like a hippie application, okay? This is free love, man. And that we don't really need to have any organization to anything. We organize it the way that works best for us. So what types of things can we throw into OneNote? Well, just about everything. You can write text, you can dump pictures, you can put audio and video clips in here, you can throw screenshots, you can take pieces of web pages. If you've got a tablet style computer that can do handwriting or digital ink, you can store your notes in literally handwriting form. You can dump files in there. You can send your scans from your scanner to it. There's a ton of things that you can put into OneNote. It's really just meant to be a place that you can dump everything and then organize it later into something that's cohesive. What are some of the key features of this product? What are some of the things that it can do? And I've just got some of it listed here, but these are really some of the ones that I believe in the most. Shared notebooks. If you're going to use this product in the work environment, OneNote has the capability of having shared notebooks, and you can use either OneDrive for Business, or SharePoint for this feature. And literally, you can have multiple people in the same notebook at the same time taking notes and sharing information. It's a really easy way to share bits and pieces. Searching and tagging are also very important. We can search for things very quickly in OneNote. We can also use metadata and tags so that I can find, where are all of my to-do items? Where are all of my action items? Where is everything that I just put a star by? The ability to link and record and integrate. Oh, the integration factor of this product. OneNote integrates into Microsoft Outlook very well, but it also has its tendrils in the other products to a certain capacity. Here is the one that I love the most, and that is OneDrive's cross-platform capability. And that is the fact that this application works across PC, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, the web. It's fantastic in that sense. There's tons more features. These are just a few that I think are very important to the product. So here, let's talk about that cross-platform capability of OneNote. On the desktop, you've got it in the Windows and the Mac versions. In the mobile space, there are Android, iOS, and Windows apps for OneNote. In the web space, you can use any browser to work with OneNote as well. It exists in all versions, and it works across all of that. And you can collaborate with other users, on these other platforms. So it's very platform neutral. The notebooks move seamlessly between these platforms. Now, the key to a lot of this is cloud storage. You've got to have that notebook on OneDrive for Business, or on SharePoint to really get this cross-platform capability. My recommendation for most of us Joe everyday users is OneDrive. Again, you can get a OneDrive account for free. Just go to, I believe it's onedrive.live.com, and you can pick up an account there if you don't have one already. You can, and then get your free storage and then start storing stuff up in there. Of course, I'm a Windows guy, so I use OneNote on the Windows platform a lot. And then for my phone space, I'm an Android guy, and I move back and forth. I'm going to show you here a little bit later how I can access my same notebooks on my Android device, and it works seamlessly with Windows. So I have no problems moving back and forth. So sometimes it's easier to define something by what it's not instead of what it is. And I've told you a little bit about what OneNote is, but sometimes it's also better to, like I said, describe in what it's not. What is OneNote not for? What should we not be using it? And the big thing is that OneNote is not for document production, okay? Do not approach this application, do not approach OneNote with the idea that you are trying to produce some sort of document or some sort of professional content that you're going to use later. If that's what you're thinking when you go in there, you're already approaching it wrong, okay? If you need to write a document, you're going to do that in Word. If you need to make a spreadsheet, you're going to do that in Excel. If you need to make a presentation, I can go on and on with this. Yes, you're going to see when we get in there, sure, there are some formatting tools. Yes, I can make some tables. Yes, I can do some very basic mathematics with my tables that are in there. But OneNote isn't designed to create a spreadsheet, and it's never going to be. And it's not going to have all of the desktop publishing capabilities of Word. That's not the point. The point here is this is a dumping ground for all those Post-its and things that you jot down on pieces of paper. So the notebooks aren't meant to be physical documents that we create and distribute. The notebooks are basically places to gather information. And we use that gathered information to create other documents. This is a place to put all that stuff that just doesn't fit anywhere. You know, it doesn't fit well in a spreadsheet. It doesn't fit well in a Word document. Look, I just need a place to put stuff. And that's what OneNote is good for. So definitely with OneNote, we need to think digital, not physical. We're not producing physical content. We are not producing something that we're going to print out and give to people. Now, yes, you can print your notebooks, but I wouldn't recommend it. They're going to be messy, okay? And again, just think of it as your notes from class when you sit in college or in high school. Those aren't meant for prime time. Those are just your notes. You're going to write your regular document somewhere else. So what makes OneNote so different from the other Office products that I work in? And these are all going to make more sense as I get into the product and show you, but I want to run through this list right now. First off, unlike a Word document or an Excel document or Excel spreadsheet, that I have to physically open the document, in OneNote, my notebooks are always open. And you'll see that when I get into the application is that as soon as I start up OneNote, all of the notebooks that were open when I closed the product are going to be open automatically. So everything is always open. So that means I don't need to close anything. You can. But closing your notebooks when you exit OneNote is you don't need to do it, okay? Also, and this is going to make some of you feel uncomfortable, there's no save command, okay? In OneNote, you just do. You just go in there, you take your notes, and the product takes care of everything else. And when you exit, it saves everything automatically. So there is no save command here. So again, this is going to make you feel uncomfortable if you've not worked with it because we are so used to in Word and Excel and all the other products, okay, I've worked on this document, I need to save my work and then exit because I don't want to lose what I did. Okay, and we've gotten used to that for Lord knows how many years that we've been working in these applications. But the reality is with OneNote, there's no closing and you don't need to close the notebooks and you don't need to save. Also, when we get in there, unlike Word, we don't see physical pages. Yeah, you're going to have OneNote pages in your notebook, but they're basically of infinite size, okay? There's no limit to how that is, how big they are. So you can organize like it's a bulletin board if you want to. Again, this last bullet point here on this slide relates to what I mentioned earlier. Since this product is not for document creation, there are limited formatting options. You know, you got standard things like bold, italic, and underline, and some color and some font sizes, but we don't have things like headers and footers and cross references and all that other sort of stuff that we might have in Word. It's just really not necessary. So your notebooks can basically exist in two types. For most of us, we're going to have a personal style notebook, which is that I'm the only person that's going to access that notebook. OneNote does have the ability to have shared notebooks so that multiple people can be in them at the same time. The key to that, of course, is that you've got to put the notebook in a place where people can get to it, and that generally requires OneDrive for Business or SharePoint. I think you can also use OneDrive for that as well, but you'd have to give somebody your credentials, and that's not always a good idea. So in general, though, where could you store your notebooks if you wanted to? Well, pretty much anywhere. You could, if you just want to keep your notebooks on your own computer in local storage, you can. If you're using OneNote at work, yes, you could put them on a network. Quite honestly, though, I would highly recommend if you want to be able to do the cross-platform capability, I would really recommend storing your stuff on OneDrive. The key there with that is that I should say the main benefit there is that by storing it on OneDrive, that means I can go to any computer, start up OneNote, log in with my credentials, and then I can pick up my notebooks from anywhere. And additionally, that allows me the ability, if I've got the app on my phone, to also access my notebooks. And yes, if you're going to use the app, you almost have to use OneDrive because if you're going to use your Apple phone or your Android phone or Windows phone, whatever you use, you can't store the notebooks on the device. So they're going to have to be stored in the cloud. Now, the nice thing is, if you can't get to the cloud, you can actually still get to your notebooks because it does cache a local copy. Okay? All right, next thing to understand about notebooks when we get into them is the overall structure of a notebook once we get into it. Again, I'm doing the lecture part first. We're going to get in there very shortly with everything. Just got a couple more slides to get to, and then I'll show you all this stuff. But I like to run through the theory first. In OneNote, we have this basic structure of notebooks, sections, pages, and containers. Okay, a notebook can have a variety of sections. Those sections can have anywhere from 1 to 1 billion pages. And on those pages, we store our notes in containers. So that you understand the file structure of how this works, if you're thinking in terms of Windows or OneDrive or even on a Mac, when you create a notebook, all you're actually creating is just a blank folder somewhere on your file structure. And the actual sections are the actual files. Okay, so within a folder, you may have several files, and that makes up your notebook. So for those of you that are interested in what's really happening in the background, that's what's going on. Okay, I'm not going to talk about, this is a presentation I actually created for a business client. So some of these slides I'm not going to worry about so much. So OneNote integration, yeah, let's not use, okay, so you know what? Enough talk. Let's get into OneNote. So let me start this up. And here we go. So you should now see my OneNote application is up in the window. For those of you who haven't attended before, attended these sessions before, yes, I'm using Office 2016. You may not be on that version yet. That's okay. OneNote, pretty much, you can use any version with it. 2013 or 2016 look pretty much the same. So you shouldn't have any problem moving back and forth here. So let's talk about the overall structure of what we're looking at here in OneNote. As typical with Microsoft products, I've got my ribbon and my ribbon tabs up along the top here. So let's break down what we're looking at here in the middle section of our notebook. Okay, over here on the left-hand side is my notebooks panel. Okay. In OneNote, you can have multiple notebooks open at the same time. So you'll notice here I've got my personal notebook is showing right now. I've got another notebook here that comes with, came with the older version of OneNote. It was just a guide, so I've got that here. And then third, I've got an Italian notebook there that I used a few years ago when I was teaching myself Italian using Rosetta Stone. Now, this panel might look like this when you start up. It may be collapsed and look up, and you might just see the name of the notebook in the upper right, upper left-hand corner of the interface here. If you don't like that, if you want to see all your notebooks, you can click the drop-down and access different notebooks. You can also pin that so that it's always there. That's what this little thumbtack is right here, so that it's always showing. Or you can squish this panel down. Oops, how do I make it go? Sorry, folks. Oop. Or you can squish it down, and it's supposed to turn to the side. What did I, or was that, there we go, sorry. Oh, maybe they got rid of that in 2016. Sorry, some features get moved here and there. Okay, all right. You might also, yeah, in 2013, you might see them listed down the side kind of vertically. Looks like 2016 doesn't do that anymore. So it all depends on the real estate you've got on your screen. Okay, so these are my various notebooks that are open. As I hover over each notebook, you'll see there's a drop-down, and those drop-downs can then list the sections that are in each of those notebooks. But I can also see those sections across the top here, and that's what these little tabs are. So in this notebook here that I've got for Italian, I've only got 2 sections in here. One of these is called vocabulary. The other one is called rules. This is very similar to what we have in Excel, except instead of being at the bottom of the spreadsheet like you'd have in Excel, it's up here along the top. And you can see I've got 2 sections here, one called vocabulary and one called rules. You can color code your sections. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. So it looks like my vocabulary is pink and my rules are blue. You can always change any of those colors. So working our way around the interface, now coming around to the right-hand side. This is our pages panel, and this is where all of our pages are within a certain section. So you can see here in the vocabulary section of this notebook, you can see I've got a ton of pages here. And yes, you can create hierarchies of these too. So you can see I've got one section here called nouns, and then a bunch of pages underneath that. Here is the rules section. This one's only got 1 page. I just never got any further than that, so I've just got the 1 page of notes here. Okay? All right, so when you start up, you may have a blank notebook there already. So I've showed you the structure. Let's go through the whole process. Let's say I want to create a brand new notebook and work my way through. So I'm going to go to the File menu here, and this brings me to the Backstage view. And you can see that these are the notebooks that I've currently got open, okay? This is where you would actually close a notebook if you want to close it. You can see here are the 3 that I've got open. And if I wanted to close it, I could click on the settings button and I could actually close a notebook. But remember, that's not really important, okay? You may only want to close notebooks that you rarely use. Quite honestly, you should keep your main notebook that you use all the time, always open, so that it's just easy to get to. Okay, but let's start from the beginning because that's a very good place to start. Yeah, I had to throw that joke in there. All right, so let me say new. I need a new notebook. I'm going to throw it on my OneDrive because, well, I want to be able to access it from anywhere. So I'm already logged into my OneDrive service here. So I'm just going to give this notebook a name, and we'll call this demo class. Yeah, Craig, you're just going to have to put up with that humor. It doesn't get any better. All right, so then I'm going to click Create Notebook. Okay, it's going to think about that for a second. Now it's going to give me the option to, if I'd like to share it with other people. No, I don't want to do that. This is just going to be a personal notebook for right now. So here we go. I got me a complete blank notebook, and I'm putting it out on OneDrive so that I can access it from anywhere. All right, starting off here, I've got a brand new section and 1 page. If I don't like the name of this section, I can rename it. So this being called New Section 1. All right, I don't like the name of that. So you can right-click on any section tab, and you've got a bunch of options here. First off, let's look at renaming it. I don't want to call that Section 1, so I'm going to call this something else. We'll call this Bad Ideas. No, let's call it Great Ideas. Let's keep it on the positive. All right, so this is my Great Ideas section. Furthermore, while we're here on this tab, there's a bunch of new things that I could do, but primarily we're always concerned about color. Well, most people, that's what they're interested in. You can make your section have color. If you want to color code your sections, you are more than welcome to do that. You can see there's about 24 choices here of colors. So I'm feeling a little lemon lime tonight. So there we go. So now I've just basically made it lemon lime. If you really want to get into that, you can. If it's not important to you, don't worry about it. Okay. So now I've got a brand new notebook called Demo Class. It's got 1 section in it called Great Ideas, and it's got 1 page. Actually, before we move on to pages, let's add another section just for fun. Right here, I've got a plus sign on a tab, just like we have in Excel. And I'm going to click that. And you know what? Let's make this our bad ideas. Okay? And great ideas are green, so let's make bad ideas red. There we go. Good and bad, right? We got great ideas are in green and the bad ideas are in red. All right. Now, the question's going to come up. Once I get into pages here, some people are going to be like, well, what's the right way to do this? Should I use sections? Should I have 1 section with lots of pages? Like, I just did 2 sections here, one called Great Ideas and Bad Ideas. Shouldn't I just create 1 section called Ideas and then have separate pages for great and bad? The answer to that is sure. How do you want to do it? Here's what I'm talking about. Maybe I just want to have, let's rename this. Let's just call this Ideas. And let's get rid of this whole section. Yep. Okay. And maybe instead I want to have individual pages within there. So let's make this page, since it's untitled, I might as well go ahead and name it. We'll call this page Bad Ideas. And then I'll add a page and we'll call this Good Ideas. Or I'm sorry, Great Ideas. Okay. So now I got 2 pages. Is that a better way? I don't know. It's up to you. If you want to have 1 section called Ideas and then have separate pages for the different types, that's fine. This is where people get uncomfortable. I mentioned earlier that one of the things that makes people a little bit uncomfortable with OneNote when they first get into it is that they're craving structure. They're craving the application. They're craving to be handheld and shown, this is what you create a notebook, and then you should create your sections like this, and then you should create your pages like this. You know what, folks? Doesn't work that way here. There's there's, like the advertisement says, there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. You know what? There's pretty much no wrong way to create a notebook, right? It's really up to how you want to organize it. Okay. So in hindsight and me looking at this, yeah, I probably would have done it this way. I'd probably have a section called ideas and then have separate pages for great and bad ones. Okay. Totally up to you. Now you'll notice I did type in a page name up here up at the top, and then that shows up over here on the side. So whatever you put in this little title section up here is what shows up over on the side. And you can edit that in either location. If I want to change that from bad ideas to horrible ideas, I can just do a rename. I can right click and rename it. And it's just going to kick me over to the other side anyways. And I can call this horrible ideas. Okay. If I want to create additional pages, that's right here at the top. Again, I've just got a little plus sign at the top of the pages section, and I can just add pages. All right. Now, what are some other things that I can do here in the page panel? Well, and again, this is where I love OneNote compared to a physical notebook. There's a lot of managers that walk around with those red and black books. I don't know about you guys, but where I used to work, they were still pretty popular. With those, they're called the red and black notebook. They've got a hardcover and lots of lined pages. And a lot of managers that I work with love those things. And you know what? I don't want to make fun of them for it, but the reality is it's hard to search those things, and you can't reorganize them at all. They're completely bound, so I can't move pages around. Here in OneNote, I can totally move things around very easily. So right here, you see I've got this horrible ideas and great ideas. If I want the great ideas page to be first, all I got to do is grab it and drag it and move it up. Hey, I carry one of those books. Yeah, that's fine. I wasn't making fun of you. I'm just saying there's better ways to do it. But yeah, thank you for sharing, Joe. I appreciate that. Inflexible? Who, me? Well, yeah, the book is inflexible. Okay, but you can see I can easily move the pages around. If I want great ideas up at the top, I can simply just drag them. Okay. Now, you also saw me earlier have hierarchical pages. Let me go back over here to Italian and a vocabulary, and you can see I've built a hierarchy of pages here, which again is something you can't do in a physical notebook. In a physical piece of paper notebook, all pages are created equal. They're all of equal levels. But here in OneNote, if I really, again, want to get into that type of organization, you can right-click on pages that aren't at the top level, and you can make sub pages or promote pages. It's just like outlining. So you can see here in this Italian notebook, I've got a section here called vocabulary, and then I've got this page called nouns, and then there's all these pages underneath nouns. Now, some of you might go, why not create a section called nouns and then just have those 6 or 8 pages in that section? You know what? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're very right. I could have done it like that. I've got a page here called nouns. I got verbs, pronouns, adjectives, and all these things. I could have very well made those sections. I could have. You know what? I didn't. I wanted vocabulary. This is how I chose to organize it. But you know what? I'm not wrong, and you're not wrong. Okay? How you want to organize it is up to you. And also what's cool here is if later on I do decide, you know what, this is getting too complicated over here, so I might make a new section called nouns, and then I can easily just drag and move all the pages to that section. Again, something you can't do with a physically bound notebook. With here, the organization possibilities are endless, and I can move things around to however make myself happy. Okay? All right. So we've created a notebook. We've created some sections. We've created some pages. Now let's take notes. Let me go back to that diagram that I had earlier here in PowerPoint. So here we are. We've gone through these first 3 levels here of notebook structure. I created a notebook, which essentially just created a blank folder on my OneDrive. Then I created a couple of sections, and that created a couple of files. Okay. Then within those sections, I've now created some pages. And now let's talk about note containers. All right. So how do you start taking notes? You know what? You literally just click and go. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. That's it. And what you can see here is that this now becomes a note container. I don't know how well it's coming across over the internet, but you'll see here that this paragraph, this sentence that I typed is now contained in what looks like almost like a little virtual index card kind of, all right? So this container can be any size I want it to be. I could squeeze it down. I could make it a lot wider. Okay, the size of the containers don't matter. Yeah, I know what I just said. Let's not insert those bad jokes about size. The containers, I can just type stuff in here. A great idea. Buy donuts is a great idea. All right. Get a card for mom. That's a great idea. Get a card for mom. Okay, I can write whatever I want in here. I could create a new container by clicking somewhere else. So I could click over here, and this is another container. Now, why would I want to have different containers for my notes? Well, because I can reorganize them. If anybody remember, I don't know why this always comes back to me, but anybody remember from back in your Sunday school days, and they always had like the little flannel board, and it had the little characters all cut out, and you could, you'd put the little characters to tell the little story on the flannel board. And that's kind of what I think of OneNote when it comes to these containers, is that I can literally just put things in multiple containers. This is yet another container over here. And as I put stuff in these containers, I can just move them around and organize it. So maybe even these containers can be groups of information that I'm reorganizing. Or in the business world, this is the old, we've got a bulletin board and we've been writing all kinds of brainstorming things on index cards. And now we're going to reorganize all those index cards into something that makes sense. You know what? You can do the same thing here. So again, the question might come up, well, what's the right way to use containers? You know what? There isn't. It's up to you. How do you want to organize the stuff that you've got on a particular page is completely up to you. If you want to put lots of things in separate containers, you can. If you want to put them all in the same container, you can. It doesn't really matter. Okay? Now, within these containers, it's very easy to move stuff around. I don't know how easy this is to see, but when I'm on this container here, as I'm moving up and down, there's a little polygon off to the left-hand side. I hope you guys can see that as I'm moving up and down here. And what that is, that's my paragraph marker. And what I can do here is that I can easily reorganize my paragraphs right within the container. Okay. Buying donuts, get a haircut. This is more like a list, but this is just good. I'll talk about this later. So I can move these, again, even within the container, I can just move stuff up and down. So again, we've got a lot of flexibility here for creating multiple containers, moving stuff around inside those containers. These are things you can't do in Word. In Word, you're writing in a very highly organized structure. You've got pages, you've got paragraphs, you've got lines, and everything's got to be somewhere. And for us structure-based people, that's fantastic. But in OneNote, it's all free form. So again, I get it if you're a little uncomfortable with it, but trust me, you'll get used to it, okay? It's not that terrible, okay, to have our books like this. Let me go over to my personal notebook here, and let's just go to, here's some stuff I got about Philip Glass. I've got all this, on this sheet, I've got everything in one single container. So I'll talk more about these types of things, but I've got some text, I've got a table and some other stuff that's down there. But in another one, here's some stuff for chorus. I've got a few containers here. I'm a social chair for the Gay Men's Chorus here. So I've just got some general ideas here. And then I've got some stuff here for 2017 in this. And then I've got yet another container down here. And I can reorganize and move these around as I so choose. Okay? All right. So let's go through some of the things that we can put in these containers and that we can do when we're in a container. The most basic one is just making a to-do list. And a matter of fact, it's so popular, there's even a button for it right up here. And we're going to talk about tags right now. So I can, with this little thing here, I did not do this by accident with this get a card for mom and buy donuts and get a haircut. After I've done this, if I'm like, these are things that I actually need to accomplish and do, and I actually want to check them off as they're done, I can simply just highlight them, come up here to the to-do tag button, and simply, voila, now you've got real checkboxes. There's a keyboard shortcut for this. We'll talk about this tag window here, but it's Control plus the number 1 will turn something into a to-do item. So now, as I've built this list, if there's things that I want to say, okay, I need to get a card for mom, okay, that's done. So I can literally just click the box and it puts a little check mark in it. Again, you can't do that in Word. In Word, sure, I could make a box. I could use one of the symbols in there, and I could go to the Wingdings font set and insert a symbol. But then I can't really click on that to check it off as done later. But here I can. Okay, in OneNote, I can put the little boxes there, and I can check them off when they're done. Very simple. Okay. Now we've got other types of. That is the main type of tag that we have here in OneNote. But honestly, there's a ton of them. And that's what this tag gallery, I'm on the home tab of the ribbon in the tags section. And we've got a drop down here. This is called the tag gallery. Anything that drops down and has a lot of choices is called a gallery. And you can see here, there are a ton of these. I can, I've got a choice for if I want to make something important. Maybe this is a question that I want to follow up on. This is a contact. There are a bunch of built-in ones here. And I could really create my own tags if I need to do that. Okay, so maybe under the quick brown fox, that's something important. And I've got some questions here. Who should we contact about reserving, oops, spell that right, reserving the conference room? And we'll say, we'll put another action on it, so I can have different things in here. And for that question, let me actually tag that as a question. Why bother tagging? Why am I doing this? For a couple of reasons. First off, yes, the little visual indicators make it very easy when I'm skimming through my notes and I'm looking here, I can see those question marks very easily. Again, those of you who use like the red and black notebooks or other stuff, you've probably, when there's something important that you want to make sure you notice it and see it later, you probably just start drawing a lot of stars beside it. Or maybe you circle it 2 or 3 times so that when you're flipping through later, you go, oh, that was something important that I need to look, I need to remember to do that, as opposed to just all of your other notes. That's what we're doing here. It's just that we're doing it electronically, and so we can do it with cute little icons. But the added value here is this, is that as you start to go through your notebook and as you start to add these tags, you can search for a tag. I can literally, when we get to the search panel, we'll do that in a little bit, I can go to the search panel and say, show me everything in this notebook that's got a to-do tag, or everything that's got an important tag, or everything that's got a question mark tag. Can you guys hear me okay? I just got a message that said my internet connection is unstable. Is audio coming through okay? Okay, yeah, a little crackly, but okay, kind of tinny sounding. Yeah, sorry folks. Yeah, there was, yeah, thanks for all that. I had a little problem earlier, so hopefully probably somebody in the neighborhood is downloading something big. So I will speak a little slower and more clearly as we go along. All right. So the power of the tags is that I can tag everything so it's easy to find. And there we have, up in the top window here, I can do my find tags. So I can click on that, and that's going to open up a tags summary panel. And first off, it's already going to group everything for me. So in this notebook, and it's just this one right now, I've already got a summary panel of all my tags. And even better, they're all hyperlinks. So when you bring this up, if you've got a really large notebook, not only is it going to display all this stuff, but it's going to display it as hyperlinks. So that if I actually need to jump to, hey, where is that question located? I could click on it, and it's going to go right to that page, and it's going to highlight it for me. Now, if you happen to be using multiple notebooks, well, look down at the bottom of the tag summary panel. You can actually define the search scope. And you can say, you know what? Look in just this section. Look in this notebook. Look in all of my notebooks. Why did it reorder the to-do list? In the tag summary, they're just in alphabetical order. But if you look in my original notes, it's still in the order that it was. Yeah, good catch on that, Carl. Yeah, notice in my notebook, it still is in the same order, but the tag summary is just displaying stuff in alphabetical. So if I had multiple, if I had to-do lists in several places, it's just going to display all of those in alphabetical order. But again, the benefit here is that I can just click on any of these hyperlinks and jump to that particular item. Okay? So this ability to tag things is fantastic, okay? And again, you've got a bunch of built-in tags. There's about 36 of these. If none of these are really what you want, you can come down here to customize tags, and you can create a new tag and just basically build your own. And I'm not going to go through all the time to do that, but you can give it a name. You can pick any of the myriad symbols that are in here, what color, highlighting color, blah, blah, blah. There's a ton of stuff there that you can do, and you can create your own tagging system, okay? For me, I like to keep it to the basics. Certainly, again, you've got the power to kind of do it however you want. If you want to get really custom with those tags, you can. I would think if you're getting really, really customized with stuff, you might be taking it a little too far. For me, I like the basics here. I like, the first three that I can see: to do, important, and question. And you know what? That's kind of really serves my purposes quite well in what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So now, for those of you, I'm just going to continue to work my way across here. For those of you who use this in a corporate or a business environment, and you're also using Outlook, you can, from the tag panel up here, if you click on the Outlook tasks drop down, you can tag these items with one of the Outlook flags, and it will show up in your Outlook tasks. I don't have Outlook open right now, and I don't want to waste any time doing that. But if you happen to use the Outlook tasks, or even if you don't, the benefit here is that these items will show up in your Outlook tasks section as well. So you've got two places that you could see the same thing. Okay. Some other things for you Outlook users, again, for those of you in a corporate environment, there is an option here to email a page. You could click that, and you could literally email an entire page to somebody, even if they don't have OneNote. Okay. Again, I'm not going to do that because I don't really use Outlook at home. I've got other stuff that I use. I know, perish the thought, but I use Outlook for corporate, and I use other stuff for personal. You could email a page. Now, here's the other cool thing. Again, if you're an Outlook user, the big deal here in a corporate environment, or one of the main things we think about using OneNote for, is that when you're sitting in a meeting, you should be taking your notes using this product. Yeah, a lot of people take it on paper, but we could be taking our notes in a shared OneNote notebook that then everybody could look at and review later and find their action items and so on and so forth. And additionally, if it's a shared notebook, multiple people could be in the same notebook at the same time during the same meeting taking notes. Hey, how about that idea? Now, what this button here is that if you actually have meetings that are in Outlook, you can click on this meeting details. And if, for instance, if this class was a meeting that I had in Outlook, I could click that here, and it would literally add all of the meeting information right into OneNote. So that is pulling it from Outlook into OneNote. So I've got a copy of maybe the meeting, and it would give me a copy of the meeting invite. Anything that was in the meeting notice that went out in Outlook, it would give me a list of everybody who was invited. It's really kind of cool that it brings all that information over. Okay? All right. I'm going to right now just kind of continue to work through the tabs, the ribbon tabs, because I find that's the easiest way to kind of tell you about the different features here, okay? Really, that's what I'm going to focus on in the next 10 minutes or so, is just kind of showing you some of the different things you can do. And I'm literally just kind of throwing a toolbox at you, because again, there's no structure here. There's no wrong way to organize your notebook, and it might take you a little trial and error over time to kind of figure out. But the best part is, reorganizing stuff isn't difficult. Once you get in here, you can pretty much drag and move anything. You can move sections around, you can move pages around, you can move a page between sections, you can move sections to different notebooks. All of that is very simple with drag and drop. All right, so let me go to the Insert tab to show you some of the other things that we can insert into a notebook. And I'm going to create a new page here. I'm going to call this table. So there's an insert space command here. I wouldn't really worry about that. But one of the commands I really, really like here in OneNote is the ability to create basic tables. This is just like inserting a Word table in that I can literally just kind of highlight and say, well, here's the table that I need to do. And I can just start creating stuff. Now, there again, this is not Excel and this is not Word tables. So your formatting and what you can do is very limited. Now, if you're using the newest version, if you're using Office 2016, there are some newer bells and whistles for formatting. If you are using Office 2013, you're not going to have some of these ability to add borders and shading. Okay, that was added to 2016. Wait, I'm sorry. If you close the task in Outlook, will it show as closed in OneNote? Yes, if you mark it, I'm sorry, I missed a couple of questions here. I apologize, folks. Yeah, Joe, if you can mark it as complete on either side, because once it's in Outlook, they're connected. So if I mark it done in OneNote, it'll show up in Outlook and vice versa. So yes, it does work both ways. And I'm sorry, Mike, I missed your question. To-do list could be in priority and order. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you could do that, but that's going to break after a while, because if you've got multiple things tagged as to-do items on different pages in different places, that's not going to really work for the search so much. So if you need to prioritize things, you might want to, if there are certain to-do items that are more important than others, you can have multiple tags here. So like this item here, I can also add an important tag to it. So that item on the to-do list is really important. So now when I do my tag search, when I'm looking at the important section, that shows up there. So I would say that the better way to do it is just utilize multiple tags. If you try to get into letters and numbering, that's just going to be a headache, especially if you've got multiple lists, because the tag summary page here is looking generally across a notebook. So did I get both of your guys' questions adequately enough? I'm sorry I didn't quite catch those as those popped up on my screen. Yep, sure, Mike. Again, there's no wrong way. Certainly do trial and error. Come up with something that works for you. My suggestion is, Mike, in your case, I wouldn't do that. I would just utilize additional tags for that sort of stuff. All right? Okay, so let me go back to creating a table. So you can do basic tables here rather than doing it from scratch. Let me show you under Italian. You can see here that in my Italian notebook here, I've got a table. I've got several tables. That's how I organized a lot of stuff. And these can be small. They can be big. You can see I just did some basic formatting here by taking the top row and making them bold and then just writing stuff. Okay, again, it's a very basic Word style table. It's actually more like a Word table than it is an Excel spreadsheet. But again, it's just a great way to kind of organize basic stuff. Another use I've made of this is all of my workouts. I've been keeping track of everything that I work out so I look beautiful. And you can see here's my little routine. And I literally just created a basic table here in OneNote with the different groups that I go through, and then I just write the dates in there. So this is just a very basic example, whereas again, a more complicated example is over here in my Italian notebook, where I've got tables that are a bit more complicated. Okay, so you can do basic tables to just organize information in your notebook, and those tables don't have to exist in their own containers. Again, that's up to you. When I come back over here, where was that one notebook? Oh, the Philip Glass page. So right here, I've got some text and a table and some other text all within the same container. If I pick this container up, you can see the whole thing. Hopefully it's coming across. The whole thing moves. So all of it's there like that. If you want to put a table in its own container and then write other notes in other containers, that's up to you. Again, there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's here. There's no wrong way to organize your notes. Remember, this isn't about producing content. This is not about producing something that we're going to print out later. This is a place where I could maybe sketch out this table. And then, yes, you can copy and paste this into Word. You can copy and paste it over into Excel, and you'll be fine. You can, going back up to the Insert tab, you can embed files. I'm not a big fan of that because then it gets hard to find stuff. Okay, Let's look at some other things here. Oh, screen clippings. Hey, you know what? The entire Office suite has the ability to insert screenshots. It's a very basic capability, but a lot of you still go into PowerPoint and do that. The dirty little secret is you can do it from any of the Office applications. Just go to the Insert tab and it's there. There's a screen clipping. So if I click screen clipping right now, okay, and I can just grab that, and there, it just put that picture in there. Oh, it stuck it inside that table. That's not what I wanted. Let's do a different page. And now let's do a screen clipping. And let's just grab this graphic. Okay. And there we go. Nice thing is it even tells me the date and time that I took that screen clipping. So that's very cool. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, I've only got 5 minutes left. I've got so much more I want to show you. Oh Lord. Hey, you know what? Web pages. I don't have a web browser open, but if you copy something off of a web page and paste it into a OneNote, oh, you know what? Let me do that real quick because that is very cool. Let me bring up a web page for you, and let's just go to CNN real quick. If you copy and paste from a web page, it will actually also add the address from where you got it. So that's really cool. If you're, let's get an article here. The oceans are losing oxygen. Okay, whatever. I needed something with a better link. All right, so I'm just going to grab some text off of this page. Probably the wrong choice of page because now all this stuff wants to load. No, don't load all that. Stupid CNN. Who told me to do this? All right, so I'm going to copy some text there. I'm going to come over. Let's put this on a new page. I want to show you here. This is what's really cool when you paste from a web page. Now you lose the formatting. Okay, yeah, we're going to close that. This is what I hate about that site. When you copy and paste from a web page, not only does it paste the information, but it also puts a link to where you got it from. That's really cool. So if you're kind of crawling the web, looking for different articles and bits of information because you're going to write a report or a proposal or some sort of whatever, you can dump all your bits here, and then at least you know where you got them from. So that's very cool in that aspect. So you can grab stuff from web pages and put it there. I wanted to spend some time on the mobile aspect of this, but I'm really running out of time on the things you can do here, and I don't want to keep you guys too long, though I will stick around for questions and everything else. But if you explore the other tabs, let me just give you a quick rundown here. Under the Draw tab, you can actually draw with a marker here, and you can actually create. Oops, what did I do? I'm in the wrong container. Let me give you a new page. Give me a red pen, and I can literally just come down here and just start to draw stuff. Okay. I can highlight stuff. I can add shapes. I can even do equations in here if you get into that sort of stuff. There is for those of you working in a corporate setting, you can look at the different history and edits and different authors. So if I'm working on a shared notebook, I can kind of look back and see what was done when. There are some basic review features here. I can check spelling. How broad closely can you define searches? Yep, yeah. There's full scope here. When I click on search, catching Carl's question, at the end of the search box, there's a little drop down. You can absolutely change the scope. So I can say, just look in this section, look in this notebook, or look in all notebooks. Yep, yeah, sorry. Thank you for asking me that. I meant to show that earlier. And now I'm in a rush here to kind of show you guys some last minute features. Under review, there's another good one here that I really like, and that's password protect. And you might have seen this when I started off. I actually have a page here in my notebook that's password protected where I keep a lot of my login information for different accounts. I've got a password on that so that people can't get into it. And that's really cool for shared notebooks. So if there is a page or a section within your notebook that you don't want people to get to, but maybe just you and one of your coworkers, you can password protect that so that only the 2 of you or 3 of you could get into that section. Okay? All right, I've only got a couple minutes left. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. As you can tell, I'm really excited about this application. I really love it. So I might do, maybe we'll do an advanced or working with mobile or so on in another session, but I don't want to keep you guys too long. So I'm not going anywhere, so feel free to ask your questions. But for those of you who can only allocate the hour, in the chat window, there is a link to a survey, and that's really important to me. This counts towards my Microsoft certification. So I will also paste this link on Facebook. So if you don't want to do that survey right now, you could do it a little bit later. Fill it out honestly and completely. You can be anonymous. You're not going to be added to any email lists or anything like that. But certainly, if you would take some time to fill out that survey, it should only take you about 5 minutes at the most. I'd really appreciate that, and that goes towards goes towards my Microsoft Certified Trainer certification. So I'd appreciate that. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up for those of you that need to go. If you don't need to go and you've got some questions, I will stick around and answer all your questions in relation to OneNote. So I'm going to give me a second here because I'm going to stop recording because I might post this later because I don't want the recording to be more than an hour. So I'm going to stop the recording and then we're going to go ahead and answer some questions.